Welcome to Ratals.com speed test tutorial. In the last video, we just finished setting up our e-commerce store, and we set it up with a really heavy homepage, meaning it's linking out to about 70 or so products, a little more than that, or like pages, categories, and they're also inside sliders. So this right here is a slider, and it has quite a few items in it. Then we have a couple linking to our frequent asked questions, our story, and our products. And so we on purpose, we set this up to where it's really a heavy page and has about 70 or 75 images or so in it and linking to a lot of places so that there's a lot of resources that are needing to be gotten from the server to load this page. And on the Ratals software, we've built it to where even a page like this will still load really, really fast. And so when we're logged into our backend, before we do a couple tests here, when we're logged into the backend, we always turn caching off. And the reason why we turn caching off is because when you're editing things and you're logged into the backend, there's a good chance you want to see what's going to come out of the database live when the cache expires. And so we don't ever use caching when we're logged into the backend. So we're going to do some testing with caching off, and then we'll turn caching on by logging out of the backend and make it run that way. And of course, if you always want caching off, you can. There's a setting in here where you can just turn the caching off for it to never use caching. But caching always helps with making the page run faster. But one of our big goals is to try to get 100% score all the way across on really heavy pages like this. And we were able to achieve it. And sometimes if you set the page up to where it's extremely large with the caching, it'll pretty much always stay at 100. But it could drop down to like 99. So let's go ahead and just on the speed test, but let's go ahead and just analyze this on mobile. And again, this is linking, it has about 70 images in it, which is making it like a really difficult test because that's a lot to load. Let's see what we get. Oh, beautiful. We get fireworks, and that was on a mobile. We can tell based on the speed right here. And the only thing it's telling us is we have a lot of elements in the page, which basically means an element is when we wrap this like in a div, this in a div or a span, this in a div, this in a div. So it's saying you have a lot of elements in the page, and that's because we have a ton of products inside this page that it's loading, right? It's a very large page because if you took these out of the slider, it would be a very long page, and it's already kind of a long page. Not too bad because they're wrapped in a slider, but it'd be really long if they weren't in these sliders. You can see how many are in here. Each of these bullet points represents a whole slide. It slides them all in and out. And all these features are available in the Ratals software, just out of the box. But you can see how it did here with no cache, 100%. We got our fireworks, just as everybody's looking for, right? And so now let's go over here and let's do it on a desktop. Let's go ahead and rerun this. Let's see what scores we get here on a desktop. Again, no cache, out of the box. This is how it will set your site up without you having to do anything. And that was one of our big goals is we don't want people to have to do a whole bunch of stuff to get these scores. Like this is fake. Like you're going to have to, this isn't realistic, right? Right. And it is realistic right out of the box. See, we got fireworks again. And if we scroll down here and just kind of look, it's just saying to minify our CSS by 2 kilobytes. And that just basically means to squeeze everything together to where there's no spacing to where we put the next class or the next style in the next line. But we like to see it on the next line because it's easier to read when we're editing things inside our CSS. So we just, for 2 kilobytes, it's not worth it. But this is just because of the size of the page as a whole. But again, fireworks, right? And this is a big page. Now let's go over to our category. And our category is built out really big. We have 3,001 items in here. And because what we did is we built this product page, and then we use our variance builder that's in the Ratals software that created these 3,000 products or inventory items, and we put them behind this one product. And so let's go ahead and see how this page loads out for us. And so we'll start with mobile as well, and we'll just go ahead and hit go. Let's see how it does here. So it's running, and keep in mind this is with no cache. This is pulling every query back from the database at once. So we got a 99. Let's try it one more time and see if we can get to 100. Sometimes when you build these really big pages, it could, on the second try, get to 100. So let's just try it really quick. We'll go ahead and do mobile one more time here. Let's see what it gets. Waiting for it here. Look at that, 100, getting our fireworks. So that's like insanely good. If this is a huge page, and for it to be able to do this is awesome. Now I'm going to make one comment here. Right now I have our robots.txt allowing search engines to index this site, and normally this site has it blocking it. So if you come here later and you're trying to test speeds on this ratalsdemo.com, and you're like, why is the SEO not doing well? It's because I'm going to turn that back on for search engines to not index this site, because it's just a demo site. So with that being said, you might get a lower SEO score here just because I'm going to block it from search engines. But the speed is what we're really referring to here, but all the way across 100%. And that was for mobile. So let's go ahead and test it now on desktop. So I'm going to go over here to desktop. Let's run it here. A lot of people really strive and put a lot of effort in trying to get these type of scores. And we've spent a lot of time in the software and the core structure, the backbone of it, to be able to really do this. A lot of people will say, oh, just turn on caching to try to speed your site up. But really, not to knock any software that's out there, but caching, anybody who tells you that, caching is just a Band-Aid to try to cover up the issues of a bad structure in the back end, because you can see it can be done with 3,000 items in our inventory or in this category. And even if you create a whole bunch more categories and one starts to become a tiny bit slower, because let's say it's 10,000 items, it will not affect this other category that's 3,000, because the way we built our indexes and the back end. Now, with that being said, let's make this a little bit more difficult. Let's make this page show 100 results instead of 30. Let's push it all the way, right? So let's go over to our category page here. All categories. This is the category page. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to push it to 100 results. So number of products. By default, you can see it's empty here. By default, it just does 30. But let's push it up to 100. So now we're getting 100 results. So there's a lot more results in here. And you can see we only have 31 pages now, with the last page having one result. So when we go back over to our main page, we get all 100 of them again, because that last page only has one result. So it's 100 per page times 30 pages, or 31, I guess, with one on the last page. That would be our 3,000 results. So these are real results. And so let's go ahead and test this again now, where we're loading 100 on the page. And we'll do it with mobile to start. And let's go ahead and refresh it here, have it run. And let's see what happens when we build this page out with this many images that it's having to request, and this many like titles, pricing off the inventory. So this is pushing it really hard, still getting a 99. Let's do it one more time, because the elements, remember, now in the page, there's a lot of elements that it's having to render, that the browser's like choking on it probably a little bit, because the HTML of the page is so much. But let's run it one more time here. Let's see what ends up happening. Hopefully we can get 100. Look at that. Even with 100 results, now let's see how many elements, 2,400 elements in the page. That's a massive page. You can see avoid an excessive DOM size, which means, hey, try to reduce this stuff. I mean, practically nothing to fix. It's extremely tiny. These aren't even really fixes. I mean, I suppose you can spend time on it to try to clean them up, but it's so minimal, it doesn't matter. If we go over, let's now move to where I log out of the backend, and we can tell we're in the backend. This is right here. It says go to this admin page. So if I click on that, you can see we're in the backend. I'm going to log out of it now though. And now when I refresh this, you can see we don't get that anymore. I'm all the way at the top here with my scroll bar. So we're not logged into the admin area anymore. Let's test the home page first. And if we go over to our home page, we'll do desktop first here. Now, keep in mind, this is with caching now, right? And so these pages should now load much, much faster, because there's a lot less queries to have to push to the database. But the point is without caching, you can get to 100. So this was obviously a breeze for it, because it loaded it super fast, right? But the elements are still kind of an issue. That's just the size of the page as a whole, right? And there's just so much in it. That has nothing to do with the site not returning it fast enough. If we go to our network here though, and I hit refresh on this, look how fast this page is loading. So our goal was always to have a large page like this load within 200 milliseconds, and you see we're hitting that. That's a fully loaded page. That is blazing fast, right? So now if we go over to our category, we can see our category is saying it's loading in 170 milliseconds. And that's what we're back down to 30 because the caching now is running. I'm going to go clear the cache really quick so we can make this run on 100 because the cache is hitting at 30. But before I do that, actually, let's just test it at 30 since we're here. And let's just close this out and let's rerun it. And let's run it on mobile first, right? So we're going to run this with 30. So the home page was able to hit it easy with caching on. Even with caching off, we were hitting 100, right? With 30, pretty easy for it. Just a few, again, elements, a few things to do here. And let's see. So now what I'm going to do is let's just test it really quick. What was that under that test? That was under mobile. Let's do it on our desktop really fast. Again, this is 30 results. Now, again, how are we getting these type of speeds? It comes down to the backbone of your structure of your code. And this platform is fully built on PHP, but it's all core PHP. There's no libraries in between. That it's sucking resources, which really a lot of times ends up making stuff a lot slower. So it's as fast as it can be, as everything being directly just PHP. No libraries connecting to the database that way. We actually end up building all of our own in PDO through PHP, which is just all raw PHP. But you can see how fast it is. I'm going to pause it really quick, and I'm going to go clear the cache. And in other videos, I'll show how to clear the cache, but I'm just going to pause it really quick. I'm going to go clear the cache, and we'll come back and test it with the 100 results. Okay, I went ahead and I cleared the cache on this page, and now it still says 30. So let's refresh it, and it should go to 100 because we still have 100 set in the admin area. So now the page is cached as 100. So even if we set it back to 30, it's on the cached page, it's still going to show 100 until the cache expires. And by default, our system's 4 hours on the cache, but you can go in and change that at any time. But this is kind of just bonus material because you saw with no caching what it was already hitting. And with caching, this is usually when you have a lot of traffic. You usually want to start doing caching to minimize the amount of queries that you're pushing to the database, so you're not requesting everything every single time. But let's now, with caching on and 100 results here, let's go ahead and go to our network first, and just for kicks, let's look at this. You can see we're hitting about 200, but again, this is a really large page. There it is. It hit 200, right? I mean, for a page to hit 200 milliseconds is insane with that many products in the page. So let's go over here now. Let's do mobile first. And if you've been paying attention to your own site and you're watching this trying to figure out how to make your site do this, you know how hard it is. It's not easy. And the structure of everything that's built in the Ratals software just does it for you. Again, fireworks, right? And so let's scroll down here, just take a look. So it's just saying there's a little bit of rendering blocking that we could try fixing, but elements is really the biggest problem because how large the page is, right? And so let's try it again, and now let's do it on desktop, right? So let's see how fast desktop can do it, or if we can get 100%. Just waiting for it here. See what it does here. 100%, right? Let's scroll down and take a look. And again, it's 2 kilobytes, 12 kilobytes. I mean, that's nothing. And so it's essentially, this is where the biggest problem is, because how large we're making the page for testing. I mean, you go do this to any other software that's out there and see what it does, right? Put some real test or heavy weight behind it. You won't get these type of numbers. And if you do, we'd love to know who they are. But with that being said, this is the Ratals software out of the box. Ratals.com. If you're not on this software, it does analytics, has some accounting in it, inventory management, CRM for customer management, abandonment carts. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. There's about 200 admin pages within our software that makes it wicked good. And so if you're not on this, you should be checking it out. And extremely fast, right out of the box. This is what you're going to get if you're looking for these type of speeds, and of course so much more in the backend area to run a full-blown e-commerce store. While you're here, I'm just going to quickly show you. So like if we go into this category here, if we go into our backend, you can see it runs a full-blown e-commerce store as well, with all of your attributes and as many options as you want to create. There's no options in this page. Putting items in your cart has full-on checkout with abandonment cart tracking. It does everything you're going to want. And so with getting live rates, connecting to do credit card processing, tracking, sending tracking information to your customers for orders processed, and so much more. Anyways, if you haven't heard of it, check it out. Thanks for watching the video. Have a great day. See you on the next tutorial.